Welcome back everyone. Time to do the first review or first comparison of the Samsung Galaxy Note 20. Now what I can tell you is that there are a lot of pros, a lot of cons for both devices, and I'll be completely honest, if you have a Galaxy Note 10, I would recommend keeping it. There's really no big advantage to going to the Note 20. However, I think going to the Note 20 Ultra is probably the better way to go. Now the biggest differences between these two as of this point right now is probably the price tag, if I'm being honest. So you can pick up a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 on Amazon for around $600, I believe. I think right now it's less than $600, where the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, as you guys know, is costing $1,000 brand new, and it's actually more than that because you have to pay tax and everything for it. And I would recommend waiting on the Note 20. I'll still leave a link in the description so you can pick it up. So if you want to buy it now, you can, and you can help support the channel at the same time. But if you wait a couple of months, these things depreciate like crazy. So kind of keep that in mind while you're going through with it. I'm trying to be completely honest with you guys. Now looking on the front, this is where a lot of the differences are, but also not really, because the same things that I said about the Note 10 are still here for the Note 20, and it's actually very annoying. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 had a 6.3-inch dynamic AMOLED display, and this one was 1080p, and this panel was actually pretty good, I would say. At that time I really hated on it, but I feel like it's the same thing that I said about the iPhone XR, whenever it came out, and this panel grew on me. Now for the price that they're selling it for, I think it's ridiculous that it is a 1080p panel, but this was last year. Okay, whatever. You would assume they would have probably learned from that, right? But you still have that hole punch display, and I think this panel ultimately wasn't bad, but I would definitely say it looked good. I think it was better than what I was perceiving it to be. When I heard that it was 1080p, I was really sad, but it is what it is. I think it's a good panel for the most part now, even a year later, so kind of keep that in mind. You still have very little bezel around the display as well, which is really cool. Where on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, we technically have a bigger display coming from the Note 10. You have a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED display, but this one is also 1080p, and I'll be honest, going from one panel to the other, definitely the Note 20 is a little bit bigger, but you're not going to see that big of a difference in terms of the display. You also don't have anything higher than 60 Hz on the Note 20's display, which the Note 20 Ultra has, and also the S20 has, which is the same price as the Note 20. So I don't understand what they're trying to do there. It's very weird. So in terms of the front, I'll definitely tell you they're almost the same, but if you like the Note 10, then go for the Note 10's display. If you like the Note 20, obviously it is the better display, but it is what it is. They both have USB Type-C, which I think is cool on the bottom. They both have that S Pen, which is really cool, which I'll get into in a second, but ultimately it just adds more customizability to your devices, which is really cool. You can do a ton of different things, draw on them and all sorts of different things. You guys already know what the S Pen does. And on the back, you have a triple camera setup on both. And I definitely do think that the camera setup on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 looks a little bit better than on the Note 10, but it's not really that big of a deal. I feel like they could have added an extra sensor or two on the Note 20, but it is what it is. We can't really do anything about it. Now, the back texture is one of the bigger differences, and as you can see, the Note 10 has a full-on glass back. It has the wireless charging, reverse wireless charging, everything like that, and the Note 20 also has it, but the Note 20 has a little bit of a different texture, and it's not really, I can't really show you over the camera how it feels like, but the best way I can explain it, it's how they explain it. First of all, it's like a plastic glass texture. I think they called it like Plas or Glastic or some corny name like that. But the best way I can explain it, kind of feels kind of rubbery. It's like a mixture of like the Pixel 4's back, I think, and like a glass back. I don't know how to describe it. It doesn't feel like super bad though, but you can tell it's definitely not like the standard glass back that we usually get, or even like the frosted glass back on the iPhone 11 Pro, which feels amazing. So that's definitely something weird. So in terms of the body and the outside, I will definitely tell you that the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, I kind of feel like is the more premium feeling device at the end of the day, but the Note 20 is still up there. It's surprising to me that they would step backwards like this for their premium lineup. It doesn't make any sense. They both don't have any microSD card slot expansion either, which is so dumb. And honestly, one of the weirdest things, I still don't understand why they still didn't add it into this phone, but it is what it is. Can't really do anything about it. They both have IP68 dust and water resistance as well, so that's really cool. But in terms of the outside, I think that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. Now, hitting on these software, we got some really good news actually from the Note 20 keynote, which is probably one of the only good news that we got from that keynote. And that is, first of all, devices newer than the Samsung Galaxy S10, so the S10 included, are going to be getting an extra year of software updates. So instead of getting those 2 versions of software, it'll start getting 3 versions of software, which I think is a huge highlight, and I think that's a really, really cool thing that they're doing. Now, obviously, this is a huge step in that right direction, which is something I really do like. So even in this case, though, the Note 20 will still be lasting an extra year on top of the Note 10. So if you get the Note 10 and the Note 20, they're still going to be lasting for quite a bit of time, surprisingly. So I'll definitely give that to both phones. I think that's really cool that Samsung did that. But the software-wise, whether you like, the Note 10s or the Note 20's One UI 2, 2.1, 2.5, they're both on 2.5 pretty much at the same time. It's totally up to you whether you like it or not. Me personally, I kind of do like it. I like that gesture-based design, but I just don't like that skin, and I don't think anybody likes that skin or would prefer it. So in terms of that really pretty much covers it up. Now, hitting on the performance side of things, the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 855 chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 640 GPU, and 8 gigs of RAM. There's only one model of this device, the 256 gig model, where the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 has the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 Plus chipset, an octa-core CPU, an Adreno 650 GPU, and again, 8 gigs of RAM on that same model. And it's just very weird that they would keep the same amount of RAM on both. So in terms of RAM management, you're going to be getting the same exact type of RAM management on both. But what I can tell you is with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, I had a very good time using it. I thought it was a pretty okay performing device. I want to say it's a great performing device, but that RAM was kind of weird considering the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus also had more RAM than this phone, which again, this was the Note 10, this was the Note lineup. So I still found that kind of weird, but it is what it is. And anything I did with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, it was great. Performance was awesome. It never felt like a slow phone. Sometimes, most of the problems I would have would be because of the software. I feel like the software really limits a lot of what the hardware can do. But with the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, I had a pretty good time with it. There really wasn't too much to complain about. Where the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 is the faster device. It's very smooth. It's very fast. Whenever you do anything on it, it's like instantly there. And I felt like the same way with the Note 10 last year. So maybe that's kind of what I'm feeling. And maybe next year I'll say the same thing about the Note 20. But the Note 20 feels like a flagship. It feels like a tremendous phone because it is a very fast phone. I'm just kind of not so happy about the RAM they put into it. I feel like they could have stepped it up a notch, added an extra 2, 4, 5, 6, whatever, how many more gigs they could have put into it. I think something like that would have been really cool. But the performance is great on the Note 20 as expected, and I would say it is better than the Note 10s. I don't know how much better it is, but it's gonna be better than the Note 10. So performance-wise, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 definitely wins on top of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 for sure. Now hitting on the cameras, they kind of almost have the same camera layout. We have that 3 camera setup on both. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 has a 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 12 megapixel telephoto lens, then a 16 megapixel ultra wide sensor, where the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 has that 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 64 megapixel telephoto lens, then 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And like I said, a little bit of different camera. We have like a higher resolution and higher megapixel count for that telephoto lens. But what I can tell you is that both can do 4K at 60, so that in and of itself is very cool. But the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 does have that capability that the Samsung Galaxy S20 also has of shooting 8K videos. And that is a very, very cool thing that both phones that the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 does support. So, you can compare camera quality and all those different things, but that is a really cool thing that the Note 20 has. And the UI of that camera is really nice too. Like I said before, I don't really have too many complaints about cameras nowadays. If they are good, I can compare them all I want. But in terms of real world use, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20 is probably going to be one of the better cameras. Obviously, the Ultra is going to be the best. Actually, I take that back. I think the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra is probably the best one up there. But the Note 20 is still a very good camera. Having that 8K capability really does differentiate this camera over the other ones for sure. On the front, so in terms of the back camera, the Note 20 definitely wins. On the front camera, 10 megapixel sensors on both phones, but we do have the ability of shooting 4K at 60 on the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, where we only have 4K at 30 on the Note 10. So again, a slight little thing. You might prefer the Note 10, you might prefer the Note 20, but you can't knock the fact that the Note 20 does have extra functionality in those cameras that the Note 10 does not have. So that's a pretty important thing to note right there. Now ending it off with the battery life, and this is probably one of the bigger differences. And like I said, if you're going to go and switch, I would still recommend keeping the Note 10, or I would probably even recommend picking up a Note 10 Plus. But on the Note 10, you had a 3500 mAh battery. On the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, you have a 4300 mAh battery. And both have wireless charging, both have reverse wireless charging, which is really cool. But because you have that bigger size battery, that's really the biggest differentiating factor. If it was like 100 or 200 mAh difference, things could change. But with this big of a difference in these battery sizes, I know for a fact that the Note 20 does have the better battery life, which is great, and I love seeing that and I love hearing that. And whenever I go get a new device, I almost always make sure that the battery life is comparable, if not better. And if you're going to switch from a Samsung Galaxy Note 10 to a Samsung Galaxy Note 20, you are ultimately going to be getting better battery life. And there's no other way around it. You're going to be getting great battery life on the Note 20 versus the Note 10. It didn't even have that great battery life when I bought it. It was like pretty good, but again, in the back of my mind, I know that it wasn't that great. And I think the S10 Plus had a bigger battery at that time too, which was very weird. And even when you compare this to the 11 Pro Max, the 11 Pro Max had a bigger battery too. And the Note lineup usually has one of the bigger batteries in their devices. So I also found that pretty weird at the time. So what I can definitely tell you is in terms of the battery life, the Samsung Galaxy Note 20, it definitely wins in terms of that. So to kind of sum up this video and to answer the comparison, which phone should you pick up? Should you pick up the Note 10 for cheaper price? Should you pick up the Note 20 and spend some more money? What I'll tell you is that if you currently have the Note 10, stick to it, keep it. There's no point in upgrading. You even have an extra year of software updates on top of this phone, which is really cool. So that's a big highlight of the Note 10. But the Note 20 is still a tremendous phone. I mean, this is the brand new flagship. It's a great phone. Is it worth the money? I mean, kind of, but if you're going to spend the money for a Note 20, you might as well get the Note 20 Ultra, or even better, I would probably recommend getting a Note 10 Plus. That one does have micro SD card slot, and it has a lot of the capability that the Note 10 does not have. Even the Note 20 doesn't really have either. So I'll leave all these phones linked down below so you can get them from there, but that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys could hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my second channel. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.